9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Say his name and he appears. I believe it said.
What's up, beautiful people? If you hear the sound of my voice, that means your mayor is in full effect, and it's a Monday, which means it's Monday night mayor time. It's been a minute. We did WrestleMania and did all the things in Vegas, and I ain't been back with you guys in a minute. Shout out to Tantalizing Tony, a new member of the WWT fam, holding it down for the watch along for Monday Night Raw tonight. We appreciate that. As you guys may know, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, the mayor does not do watch alongs unless Big Money TK cuts the check, or unless that watch along itself involves Lola Vice. But this is the go home show for Backlash in Tampa this Saturday, and we got a lot to discuss. I guess one thing we're going to do, this is going to be my favorite moments of Monday Night Raw. I don't know how we're going to brand it out, but we'll get to that in the future. I'm just happy to be here with you guys after a long few weeks of hiatus. And Monday Night Raw actually it didn't disappoint. I don't want to say that. It felt like it was more of a filler episode. I think a lot of people know that we've been trying to get these storylines resolved post-WrestleMania after what we would probably deem a lackluster WrestleMania. What's up, Aaron Teagle? Happy birthday, my man. We're the same age. Celebrate it up. Take a shot for your boy. While we're still trying to flesh out storylines from post-Mania, not really a hard reset on things, but it's just kind of here, kind of just there. And before I jump into Monday Night Raw and what my favorite takeaways were, we got to celebrate the New Day. My favorite thing about WWE programming, possibly these last decade plus, has been anything the New Day does. If you look at my background, you can't really see everything here, but there is a plethora of New Day merchandise. I have a New Day throw blanket. I got every New Day shirt. I love everything about that group. Don't like what happened. And I'm just hoping that those two brothers land on their feet as fast as possible and shake up this entire industry like they've done from the very start since aligning. Big loss. And I don't know what TKO is doing, man, but I know a lot of fans are not really here for the changes and what's going to happen moving forward. I mean, we see what effects it had on advertising and just all the ads during WrestleMania, and now we're losing great locker room talent that gave us so much new gems and ways to enjoy these superstars' personalities. So like I'm still a little cut up and torn from it, but at the same time, I've enjoyed everybody giving New Day their flowers on social media. I've enjoyed reliving all of those old New Day segments, like from their genesis and over the years, and just being able to relive those moments. That was really huge for me to see the outpouring of love and all those great moments they've created to just bring joy and entertainment. We opened the show for Monday Night Raw with the Tribal Chief, sort of, coming into the arena really pissed off, heading for the ring, telling Adam Pearce to hit his music. Pearce saying that Jacob is actually not here yet, which led to him having a moment with Seth Rollins, which I'm always here for those. We still have to finally do that big one-on-one at Mania someday. Now that they're on the same brand, so to speak, maybe that's what we get next year. But Seth just pretty much looking at Roman saying, "You're in my way." His music hits. He goes to the ring. And Roman, if you saw the segment or the aftermath of that on social media, he was pretty much pissed off at Pearce saying he owes him and shut the hell up. So speaking volumes to how much the Tribal Chief means just showing up on Monday Night Raw every week. I love that they continue to play that up. Rollins had a bad night tonight, and not for trying, got attacked by Braun Breaker, tried to fight him off, ate a spear in the opening segment, and ate a spear later on in the night, man. So he's kind of wounded going into Backlash this weekend. I know he had the interview with Jackie saying that he'll be ready regardless and that he didn't finish the job. So who knows, but not a great showing for Seth Rollins heading into Backlash. So maybe we finally tie that thing up. Our first match of the night, JD McDonough taking on Finn Balor, and a tale of what's going on with the Judgment Day this week. Of course, the new plot and storyline is where does Roxanne's alliances lie since she just returned to the Judgment Day? If you remember when Roxanne joined, it was all this like, hey, the rift between Liv and Roxanne and who's really here for Dom. But now it's, hey, Finn brought Rox into the Judgment Day. So is she loyal to Finn or is she loyal to the Judgment Day? And I think her answer was pretty clear, using that hammer to strike Finn Balor and cost him the match against JD McDonough, which kind of puts a little sour on what's a great match between two men who have traveled the world together for the greater part of their careers. Like, they can run this match time and time again, and we'll probably find something new to enjoy about it. But JD McDonough picks up the win against Finn Balor, and I'm pretty sure Finn Balor will continue his chase, kind of doing what Edge once did to try to kill the Judgment Day. But if we've seen anything since the Judgment Day began, the Judgment Day never dies. So I don't know how many times, how many ways we're going to do this, but they never die. Things I'll take away: Liv Morgan, your heels are entirely too high. I don't know why you tower over Roxanne that much. I've been curious to know, like, what's their actual height discrepancy, because I know it's not that much. And now we also know that we'll probably get a tag match against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria against Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne next week, because those two ladies of the Judgment Day are going to be gunning for the women's tag titles, now held by Brie Bella and Paige. So very interested to see that. Want to see more women in the tag team division and what that will mean for programming. Outside of that, we saw backstage them making fun of Seth Rollins after the opening segment with Division. All of them shut up when Paul Heyman walked into the door. Logan Paul had some words for what he wanted to do with Joe Hendry. Austin Theory as well. Braun Breaker pretty much saying he's going to finish the job. But it's making Breaker look like a dominant force, which is what the division has needed. Like, they've been a laughingstock through WrestleMania build, and now Breaker makes them feel somewhat more of a threatening presence. But I still think they need Big Braun back just to make it match, you know? The Paul Heyman influence can only go so far. Another wrinkle that I will say I really enjoyed about Monday Night Raw tonight, and this is maybe the third or fourth time I've seen it in the back, is Austin Theory talking with Maxine Dupree backstage. Kind of in the background of an interview. We saw it again. He's talking to Maxine. I don't know what this means. I don't know if this means Maxine is going to end up being a Paul Heyman girl. I think Jordan Grace is the one lobbying for that right now. And we know Maxine is currently with Alpha Academy still, Otis and Cesaro, who we saw later in the show. But I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that. And if it's just, it's not placed there by accident. So it has to mean something. But we'll see. Tag team match with our IC champion Penta teaming with Javon Evans, taking on Ethan Page and Rusev. More swirling around the tag team division since the ladder match at Mania. I like this match a lot. I like that Rusev is entrenched into the IC title picture as well as Javon, but the intrusion of Ethan Page just feels like it's only a matter of time before he becomes champion. And by the way, he picked up the pin on the IC champion Penta tonight, which led to a very funny kind of buddy-buddy moment between Rusev and Ethan Page. And I like how commentary really sold up the story in this match. Graves and Cole did a lot to really talk about the notoriety of Ethan Page and his time in NXT, as well as talk about the strength of Rusev and how imposing Page is in size as well. That's kind of deceiving. So I like that there's some depth in the tag division. I think that you can throw some other names in there on the Raw roster, which they should do here in the next coming weeks. But it's painting to be another Fatal 4 5-pack challenge. Maybe Ray guns for it again. Maybe Dom will try to get it back into the IC title picture. I don't know why he hasn't yet. But I like it. And I like what Ethan Page picking up that win, because it's showing that he's a big player on Monday Night Raw already. Just being a couple weeks here, he's already a big player, and I love that for Ethan Page. Great action-packed night of our tag team match, rather. We next saw Sol Ruca sign her WWE contract, which we already knew she was called up, so I don't know why we're doing this a week, if not 2 weeks later. Pretty sure she showed up at the Raw after Mania and took on Liv Morgan, in fact. So 2 weeks later, she officially signs her contract. This seemed like a filler segment to kind of Last time I was on WWT, I said I like the Becky Lynch transition because she helps elevate the women's division in a real way. So it seems like we're going to get Becky versus Soul for the foreseeable for the IC belt. Good landing spot for Soul so she doesn't get lost in all these other storylines. And I'm talking about the women's tag team. Get lost in the storyline with Liv when Liv has other challengers. It feels like she fits here, and the contrasting style between her and Becky could make a very good segment in a series of matches. So she signed her contract. Her and Becky had a war of words. I think the funniest thing I took from this segment is Becky's doing a better Trump than Trump at this point, and it's great. It's great. Like, she can continue this gimmick for the rest of her career, and it wouldn't land with me because it's awesome. But the Io Jannetty is so disrespectful, so slanderous, and I just don't know. I honestly don't. I feel like that's going to stick with Io because Rio has done so much damage to that girl. She has to get so far away from the Rio stuff to be dominant, and that's going to play into her match against Asuka this weekend. But I'm here for Soul and Becky Lynch. Not here for that botched Soul Snatcher. We saw Soul hit the ropes a little tough and miss a little slip, but she recovered nicely. But the promo battle between Becky, I'm pretty sure will help play up Soul as a major character on Monday Night Raw. So big stuff for Soul coming forward, and hopefully it does lead to an eventual IC title reign for her. One thing that happened backstage as we were awaiting the contract signing in the main event of Raw tonight, the Usos delivered a message towards Jacob saying that he's in the deep end now and he got to swim, that they understand what he wants, but it's different between trying to take from the head of the table and the tribal chief. This felt weird. And I know we're tweening the whole bloodline saga stuff again, family business, but like Jay really... It didn't feel like right-hand man Jay or Jimmy. It just felt like lackeys just talking up their leader, which was weird because how did the Usos get here from their tag team title run, which, wasn't really here for that. But how did they get here just backing up Roman, not physically, but verbally, and saying like Jacob doesn't know what he's doing and all this other type of stuff? It just felt like a weird segment to go through, and it feels like they're taking steps backwards. Next, we had Joe Hendry, Austin Theory in a match. We started with another Joe Hendry concert with some more words for Logan Paul and how he should be fired, which led Logan Paul to have some fury coming to the ring. So let's be honest, this wasn't really a match. Logan Paul got involved. They started attacking Joe Hendry. But this feels like such a poor use of Joe Hendry on Monday Night Raw and on Netflix. I feel like if you played up the bit that made him popular on TNA, even before he was officially on NXT, the bits that made him popular, just appearing out of nowhere, coming out of refrigerators and things like that, say his name and he appears. We're not doing any of that. And I feel like he's being pigeonholed into, for lack of better words, an Elias type character right now. So, because now it seems like we want to have him have his guitar every single week. Don't know why we're doing that. And I feel like it's going to get stale fast if we do that. We have to make it what made him popular in the beginning with the same production of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. So hopefully they figure that out, because I'm not really here for it. And we need to keep him and the Vision far away from each other, because he doesn't need to get lost in that orbit. It does him no good as a single star. It's clear that the program is Seth and Braun, Profits, and Theory and Paul. Like, we don't need to have Joe Hendry be a part of this and get lost. And that's exactly what's happening right now. But Joe Hendry won by disqualification since Paul interfered, and he was on the short end of the stick. Profits came and made the save for a while until Braun Breaker came and looked absolutely badass, taking out both Profits before Seth Rollins tried to make a comeuppance on him. He's going to go for the stomp. Taz gets in the way, does his dive on the outside against the other members of the Vision, and it led Braun to get a spear on Seth. The second spear that Seth took this evening, which is going to leave him kind of hampered going into the match on Saturday. So if you do the math, spear or double spears at Mania and then choked out by Gunther, double spears tonight. It's not looking good for Seth heading into Backlash, but we'll see how he recovers, and we'll see if Seth can continue to get the job done despite the injuries. Next, we had something that I was very vocal on, I believe, the kayfabe. Shout out to the kayfabers. They had me on last week. The Obafemi Open Challenge. Complete waste of Oba's time, man. He's a spectacle, and now he'll be a moment on Monday Night Raw if we continue to do this. But unless the Open Challenge is traveling to all brands, I don't really care for it. Open challenges are kind of lazy. And after the biggest win of Oba's career, I really feel like he needs to be treated like a spectacle, meaning that he's an attraction that's only here once a month. If he's in your city, good job. You brought the right tickets to the show. But diluting him every week for challenges that may not really be a challenge doesn't really do much for his character. He needs to be treated as an attraction or a threat, and this doesn't do that. But what I like about this is Tozawa came down to the ring until he faced Oba, seeing his size and back down. And then we get Otis. And if you remember, Oba and Otis did this in NXT, and it was great. You saw the two big men kind of test each other's strength for a while until Oba showed off that speed, which was too much for Otis. And I didn't expect this to happen. I know he did it to Eric of the War Raiders, but he picked up Otis and shot put his ass across the ring. So this man has otherworldly strength, because that was crazy to me. I didn't think I would see a man of Otis' size. And I saw how big Otis actually was at WWE World and Mania Weekend. He's not a small man. That's a huge man that he just threw across the ring like a sack of potatoes. And then to hit the fall from grace with a little assistance still shows how dominant Obafemi is. I just fear that you are going to run out of options. Like, you can run Otis, you can run Rusev, you can run a series of your big men WWE badasses out every week, but like, who's left? Who's going to be an exciting person to come through? And that's what makes me think, like, are you going to have people from LFG or NXT or AAA? How many people can you run out there to this open challenge to make it interesting and to keep it fresh? And that's where I think they have to shorten this sooner rather than later. And Lynette is saying that Gunther can answer the open challenge. And he very well could. But who's the winner there? Who's the winner? Because I think the goal is to have Oba win all these open challenges. And I think Gunther is still hot enough to where I can see him accepting the challenge, but that's a stalemate. I don't think any guy can afford to lose here. And then you might do a long weeks of programming to eventually decide which one man is going to lose. And I don't know. I think it's too early. It's too early for that. I would love to see it, though. I would love to see it. One man got to lose, and I don't think it can be Oba. I don't think it can actually be Gunther as well after getting that win over Seth. Gunther is going to be – I have to feel like he's going to be gunning for Reigns pretty soon rather than later. We had a trios tag match. We got a promo from the OG El Grande Americano backstage talking about how he kept getting jumped in AAA, so he hired some help, had some friends, now known as – what was it, Julio and Bruto, which is pretty much the Creeds in mask, which I've been calling for the Creeds to come back to programming for weeks now. And this is what we got. Let's wrap this shit up. May 30th, mask versus mask. Let's wrap this shit up, because now we're doing way too much. We did get an update on Chad Gable that he is still recovering from injury. Hope he heals up, but we got to wrap this shit up. Let's go ahead and award the more worthy Big Grande, which is the one that is beloved in Mexico with Raya and Bravo. And let's just wrap this shit up. Like, maybe let's just unmask all of them on May 30th, and let's just see that they are not that none of them are luchadors, because now it's getting a little insane. Now it's getting a little crazy, and I'm not here for it. But the OG Grandes, so to speak, OG Grande, Julio, and Bruto, all won, picking up the pin after a pretty good match. And the contrast between what we see in the States versus AAA is glaring. So I really don't know what the call here is. Obviously a filler match to keep the programming going on both shows here on Monday and then on Saturday. But it all ends on May 30th. So I would draw my line in the sand towards who you feel should be the rightful Big Grande, and let's wrap this shit up. I think we know who the best Big Grande is, and hopefully Chad Gable can return from injury and be a great superstar like he was before the injury. That's what I'm hoping. Main event time, the contract signing. Roman Reigns came to the ring. Obviously, a little bit of pep in his step. Last week, we saw him getting choked out by name of the Tongan Death Grip. Jacob Fatu came in. See, and this is why the Usos promo is so weird for me, is because they don't need Roman doesn't need them to talk for him. I thought that was such a weird thing to place in the middle of the show. Like, I get that he's warning Jacob against this, and maybe it'll lead to Jacob joining the family again. But Roman was talking his shit to Jacob, saying, like, you think that this is like you do that to family? You think you in a bar in a fight in a 3v1 and you just pull that out? And that's the Tongan. I like that we're talking up the Tongan Death Grip because we haven't seen it in years, and treating it like it's this big family secret that he's using on family. And it's like, you don't treat family like that. You damn sure don't treat the tribal chief like that. And the takeaway I got is that Jacob don't care about none of that. He don't care about the tribal chief. He don't care about family. That he just trying to upgrade his household. He trying to reupholster the living room, add some extra rooms, get some new fleet of cars, get some sneakers for the kids. And that's all he care about. Tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is all Jacob is focused on. And that's why this feud is selling it for me. But what Roman did was tell Jacob that he's thinking short-sighted. Like, yes, you're worried about your family. You're worried about your kids and everything you want them to have. But I'm worried about everybody's kids. I'm worried about all the generations that come after your kids and their kids' kids. And that's something that you can't hold. And I have the genius and the credibility and the tenure to not only do that, but handle that. And he doesn't understand the weight. And I think that was so beautifully stated, because it's the things that Roman have talked in this tribal chief character for years, is that for 10 years, I can carry the weight. Netflix is making negotiations with me. So I like that he tied that in too, because if you saw, those June dates got removed and everything's going on about that, about if they moved or TKO is messing up Roman's contract negotiations, if they asked him to take a cut and all this. He's saying, hey, they want to negotiate with me because they know what I'm worth. You can't handle that. They're not here to see you. I'm here taking care of the entire bloodline, and you're a part of that. I can take care of you too. But what it led to was obviously Jacob losing it because he's unhinged. And we saw the Tongan Death Grip again. What I liked is that we didn't make Roman look like a punk entirely. He got his licks in. He thwarted Jacob off just enough to showcase who he was, tried to go for a Superman punch, and was met with the Tongan Death Grip again and thrown into the table. They both signed a contract, and we have our main event for Backlash. And I like that we told the story of, hey, in our family, that it's one thing to see. In our family, we're equals because I take care of you. I take care of all my family. But in this ring, you're not on my level. You're not on my level in this business. And I like that was said, because this could be a coronation of getting Jacob to that level or him falling in line like they did with Jimmy, Jay, and others. And I really love that this is a storyline we're telling, because it's a good reset from Roman and Punk. Crazy enough, we didn't see CM Punk on the show tonight, so I have to believe there's a little bit of a cool-off period for him. But I thought this was a solid Monday Night Raw. Not the best go-home show. I think as we head into, Night of Champions at the end of the month, we'll see some of the other title pictures come to life, namely Street Profits getting their tag team title shot. Whoever Liv is going to be defending the title gets next, now that Stephanie McCoy is out of action and hurt. And, of course, Becky Lynch defending possibly against Sol Ruca. But good enough show. I think that we have a jam-packed Backlash. Of course, I didn't mention the Asuka and Io promo as well, which had them sitting across the room for each other, and Asuka pretty much saying, you're my biggest mistake ever. I wish I would have never became your senpai and looked out for you. Of course, Io was hit with the miss at the end of that segment, so now she's heading into Backlash almost blinded. And again, man, we keep making Io look like a punk, man. That Jannetty stuff is gonna stick, especially if Asuka wins this match. So I hope we heat Io up. I hope this angers Io, and I'm happy that they're getting a singles match on a PLE. But one, it would have hit harder if it was at Mania, and two, now that we know that Kairi has no influence in this match alone, it's not like who cares, but at the same time, that was the whole reason. Io was trying to free Kairi from the brainwashing of Asuka, and now we don't have that at all. I think we'll get a dope match. I think it'll tell an amazing story, but just Kairi, the WWE parting ways with Kairi really, really messes that up. And I hope that they're listening to the cries in the crowd, the tweets, because people are saying we want Kairi. Maybe they do it. Maybe she becomes the 2026 version of R-Truth, where they bring her back and she shows up at Backlash. But if I've seen anything with the way TKO been moving this year, especially at Mania with all the ads and all the buy this, like, I have little hope. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Got to get to my next destination. The mayor is a very busy man. Check out our content on the socials. There's some interviews up there that we did with Brittany Brooks, as well as Thunder Rosa at Hog Globe at the Theater this past Friday. We'll be attending some more independent shows throughout the month here locally in LA County and Southern California. So make sure you're on the lookout for those details and come pull up on us. And we might even be in your city just doing some watch-alongs for Backlash this weekend. So we'll announce those in WWT Live. Make sure you support the team. We got a lot of great creators here. Of course, our K-Fabers, Big Money TK, Stone Cold Courtney Rice, Tantalizing Tony. Christina got her first interview, y'all. Go spam that interview. Christina did an interview with Thunder Rosa at Globe at the Theater this past Friday. That was really dope. Very insightful stuff from Thunder Rosa. And we're going to keep driving content to you guys, man. We're going to keep getting in the field, meeting you guys in person. Shout out to Special Little Nobodies. Got to meet him out in Los Angeles at Globe at the Theater on Friday. And, of course, we're going to keep being the #1 network on the planet, because that's what we do. I'm your mayor. Follow me on the socials at Said Is The Answer. Said Says on Twitter. I'll be back with you guys on Wednesday, y'all. Peace.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms, like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.